Hello everyone, it's NotaNoobPat, and welcome to Perk Review. Today we're taking a look at the level 35 Élodie perk, Deception. When you are sprinting next to a locker and activate this perk, you will cause the doors to swing open and trigger a loud noise notification at that location for the killer. After you activate this perk, you won't leave scratch marks for 3 seconds. This perk has a cooldown of 40 seconds before it can be used again. The pros to this perk is obviously the deception that it was named after. It can distract the killer and extend chases. Then it is also an excellent aid to locker builds. This perk works incredibly well with head on and quick and quiet, as I'll show in the examples. The cons are that you have to lose line of sight with the killer to be effective. This is just like Dance With Me or Quick and Quiet. If the killer is watching you when you swing the locker doors open, they won't be fooled. Then this perk can be used on its own. I think it's possible to do that, but it is very unlikely. Most survivors are going to opt to have a build around this perk. You're going to be using Head On, Quick and Quiet, and possibly another perk like Inner Strength, so you will be taking up a majority of your build to use this perk effectively. Let's get into our video demonstration. We will be taking a closer look, but I want you to see what it looks like when you use this perk and run by a locker as opposed to when you walk by it like normal. When you take a closer look, you can see that when I'm running by, it has the feint option. Meanwhile, when you walk or sprint by like normal, there is typically a hide option that will be shown. This is what the feint looks like. I run by a locker and the doors swing open when I activate the perk. I will show you in slow-mo so you can take a better look. In most situations, you will want to lose line of sight, pop the doors open, then hypothetically the killer will go in and check that locker. Then, let's take a look at the cooldown. This perk will be lit when you can use it, then when activated, the red cooldown will rotate clockwise for 40 seconds. From the killer's perspective, this is what it will look like when you watch the survivor activate the perk. However, you will also see that the killer gets a loud noise indicator on the locker that you use Deception on when you are out of sight. Let's get into our video examples. Here, I unhook a survivor and immediately take aggro. I head for the shack since I know that there will always be 2 lockers in there. I use my Deception on the locker, then use the lack of scratch marks for 3 seconds to get out of the window with my Quick and Quiet, and as you can see, the killer is still very confused while I'm already running away. Then, Saloon has so many excellent lockers for this perk, and I'm going to be abusing killers with Deception and Head On from here on out. I fake like I am in the first locker, then Quick and Quiet into the next one. I want the killer to head in my direction instead of the other way where my teammate ran. I hit my Head On stun and I start running around the saloon. Then pay attention. The killer hits me at the perfect time. They give me a speed boost around the wall, they end up losing their line of sight, and I activate this perk and the killer ends up checking the locker. I'll let you listen in. Oh, he missed me! Oh, he did it! I did it! As you heard, it can be a really fun time when using this perk. I used it twice in the same clip, so you can see that the 40-second cooldown is not too harsh. Then, I have a hillbilly barreling down on me. I am on the door and I see him revving up to come and get me. I know where both lockers are and I'm going to take a lap around, trigger my Deception, then hop in the other locker. The 3 seconds without scratch marks is just long enough to make my way to the other locker and boom, I can Quick and Quiet in. The hillbilly revs his chainsaw in frustration, and he goes back to check the other door. To finish the examples out, I'm going to be doing some killer abuse with this perk. This map is great for Deception because it has multiple lockers in a single line. You can have a lot of fun with these. I use Deception on one, hop in another locker, and then Head On stun the killer. A little bit later, I'm back at the same spot. I open a locker on one side, then hop in a locker on the other. The killer is clearly confused and looking at that side, and what do? I Head On stun him again. I'm having a blast with this perk. Then, we're going to go back to the killer shack, which is the perfect setup for this perk as I mentioned before. I fake one locker, then the killer is going to check that one while I'm sitting in the other locker. Again, at this point, I know I'm going to get camped on hook if the killer finally gets his hands on me, so I do drop the God pallet so I can make my way out of there and avoid getting hooked. To finish things up, I take pressure off my teammate and take aggro. I pop open this locker with Deception, then use the lack of scratch marks to begin crouching behind the bar, and the killer still takes the bait and opens the locker trying to catch me. As you're about to see, the killer is just done with me at this point as he gives up and doesn't even try to chase me. Again, you can have a complete blast when using Deception. Then I did just want to bring something up before we end. This perk does take a bit of time to warm up to. You will find yourself sometimes hopping into the locker that you use Deception on, like I do here in the Killer Shack twice. Sometimes it can be a bit hard to cut the angle and to be far enough away from the locker to not also hop in it. So if you ever find yourself using this perk, expect a little bit of a learning curve at the start before you start making big plays. Anyways, let's give this perk a grade. Deception is a 7 out of 10. I had a blast using this perk. Hats off to the devs for this idea. This perk is as fun to use as it is useful. It actually has a purpose. I don't feel like it is Dance With Me where it's the weak point of a locker or stealth build. If you use this with Quick and Quiet and Head On, they are all equally useful in the build. Speaking of those two other perks, this perk has excellent synergy with locker and stealth builds. It can be used alone, but I don't see that happening too often. That being said, if you use this perk and you get good with it, I think you can make some really great plays with it. Just make sure that you lose line of sight and you're in business. Every game you don't have to use just elite perks like Spine Chill, Decisive Strike, Sprint Burst, or Dead Heart. If you want to have fun with some perks while also not completely throwing the game by using bad perks, try a locker build with Head On and this perk. I think you'll have a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave it a like. If you want to check out more perk review, make sure to look for the links in the description and visit my channel to subscribe. I also stream twice a week on Twitch if you want to stop by. Take it easy.